Hello and welcome to the program. I am Simisola Atiku. Now, after 12 years, President Bola Tinubu has ordered the full implementation of the report of the Presidential Committee on the Rationalization and Restructuring of Federal Government Parastatals, Commissions and Agencies headed by retired accountant Stephen Oransaye. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, revealed this to State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting, FEC, at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja, on Monday. He explained that the development was part of the far-reaching decisions taken at the Federal Executive Council meeting chaired by the President. Take a listen to what the minister said.
Recall that in 2012, the administration of former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan instituted the so-called Oransaye report. It is aimed at rationalizing the federal government parastatals, agencies, and commission. Now, a paper was turned in 2012, but the implementation got stalled. Again, in 2021, almost 7 years after that, the former President Muhammadu Buhari, also initiated a process to consider the 2014 white paper on the Oransaye report. Again, the implementation of that also got stalled. Now, instead of the rationalization that Oransaye report was aimed to achieve, many other agencies and commissions were established. So in a very bold move, today, this administration under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, consistent again with his courage to take very far-reaching decisions in the interest of Nigeria, has taken a decision to implement the so-called Oransaye report. Now, what that means is that a number of agencies, commissions, and some departments have actually been scrapped. Some have been merged, while others have been subsumed. Others, of course, have also been moved from some ministries to others where government feels they will operate better. Like I said, those scrapped include the Pension Transition Arrangement Directorate. It has been scrapped. The National Senior Secondary School Education Commission is also being looked at with the aim to modify some of its processes, and a final decision on that will be taken. Now, at the end of this exercise, we are going to give you a clean copy of all those agencies that have been scrapped, modified, subsumed, or moved to other ministries. Like I said, this is a very far-reaching decision. It is aimed, one, to fine-tune and to restructure government operations as a whole. Second, in line also with the vision of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to reduce the cost of governance. Some of these agencies you will discover, and as you know, are performing almost very similar functions. So government thought it wise that there is the need, since this committee had already been set up, white paper already been produced, to take a bold decision to visit that.
This is in line with the need to reduce cost of governance and ensure that we have streamlined efficiency across the governance value chain. We would go through quickly the list of agencies that have been so earmarked to be scrapped and their functions moved to ministries and agencies, and those merged and those to be subsumed. For agencies that are required to be merged, I'll take it. National Agency for Control of AIDS, HIV/AIDS, NACA, to be merged with the Center for Disease Control in the Federal Ministry of Health. National Emergency Management Agency to be merged with the National Commission for Refugee Migration and Internally Displaced Persons. The Directorate of Technical Cooperation in Africa to be merged with the Directorate of Technical Aid and to function as a department in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Infrastructure Concession and Regulatory Commission to be merged with Bureau for Public Enterprises. Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission to be merged with Nigerian Export Promotion Council. National Agency for Science and Technology and Science and Engineering Infrastructure to be merged with National Center for Agricultural Mechanization and the Project Development Institute. The National Biotechnology Development Agency to be merged with the National Center for Genetic Resource and Biotechnology. The National Institute for Leather Science Technology to be merged with the National Institute for Chemical Technology. The Nomadic Education Commission to be merged with the National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adult Education and Non-Formal Education. The Federal Radio Corporation to be merged with the Voice of Nigeria. The National Commission for Museum and Monuments to be merged with the National Gallery of Arts. The National Theatre to be merged with National Troupe of Nigeria. The National Meteorological Development Center to be merged with the National Meteorological Training Institute. The Nigerian Army University, BU, to be merged with the Nigerian Defense Academy to function as a faculty within the Nigerian Defense Academy. Air Force Institute of Technology, also to be merged with the Nigerian Defense Academy to function as a faculty of Nigerian Defense Academy. We now move to the agencies to be subsumed. The Service Compact with Nigeria, Servicom, to be subsumed to function as a department under the Bureau for Public Service Reform. The Border Communities Development Agency to be subsumed to function as a department under the National Boundary Commission. The National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission to be subsumed into the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Allocation Commission. The Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution to be subsumed under the Institute for International Affairs. The Public Complaints Commission to be subsumed under the National Human Rights Commission. The Nigerian Institute for Trypanosomiasis to be subsumed into the Institute for Veterinary Research. The National Medicine Development Agency to be subsumed under the National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development. The National Intelligence Agency Pension Commission to be subsumed under the Nigerian Pension Commission. For agencies to be relocated, the Niger Delta Power Holding Company to be relocated to the Ministry of Power. The National Agricultural Land Development Agency to be relocated to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. The National Blood Service Commission to be converted into an agency and relocated to the Federal Ministry of Health. The Nigerian Diaspora Commission to be converted into an agency and to be relocated to the Federal Ministry, to the Ministry of Finance. In addition, Mr. President constituted a committee that would work within a 12-week period to ensure that the necessary restructuring and legislative amendments that are needed to ensure the full actualization of these approvals was granted. He tasked this committee with an immediate terms of reference to proceed and ensure all of this are done within a period of 12 weeks. The committee membership comprises of the following. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation will chair the committee. The Head of Civil Service of the Federation, member. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, member. The Honorable Minister of Budget and National Planning, member. The Director General, Bureau of Public Service Reform, member. The Special Advisor to the President on Policy and Coordination as a member. The two Senior Special Assistants to the President on National Assembly are members, and the Cabinet Affairs office will serve as secretariat. The committee would look at the administrative restructuring and also the legislative amendments required to ensure the full implementation of the recommendations. The other aspects of recommendations that have also been passed to the committee to relook at. It's important for us to appreciate the bold approval granted by Mr. President at the Federal Executive Council. This has been a recommendation that has been, I think, in the Nigerian discourse from 2012. We're here in 2024 and it's so been approved, and the aspects that are applicable to mergers, as I said, subsuming and scrapping and relocation of agencies are those that have been so considered arising from the totality of the panel report.
Submitted in 2012, the Oransaye report on public sector reforms revealed that there were 541 statutory and non-statutory federal government parastatals, commissions, and agencies. A year earlier, former President Goodluck Jonathan had set up the Presidential Committee on Restructuring and Rationalization of Federal Government Parastatals, Commissions, and Agencies under the leadership of former Head of Civil Service Stephen Oransaye. The 800-page report recommends that 263 of the statutory agencies be slashed to 161, 38 agencies be scrapped, 52 be merged, and 14 be reverted to departments in various ministries. But since the Goodluck Jonathan administration produced a white paper on the Steve Oransaye report, the federal government has created more ministries, departments, and agencies. So how possible is this implementation? Joining me to discuss this is Public Affairs Analyst Ade Folarin Olamilekon. Thank you very much for joining me on the program. Now, mixed reactions trail Tinubu's approval of the Oransaye report implementation 12 years after it was submitted. While some say it's outdated, others have commended the president's move. And what's your take on this?
Actually, let me start with people who are saying it is outdated, that they are very, very wrong. There's nothing outdated in that particular material. For the past 12, 14 years that material has been on the shelf, we expected that recommendation to be in full practice. And now, the president has come to put it in full practice. So we commend him for that. And for the recommendations that are in those material, they are very laudable. It's just that most of us are not thinking in a way that the cost of governance we have been shouting, that one cost of governance, cost of governance. This is the first leg of it. So we just hope that the government will have the political will to get it implemented to the latter.
Since the report was submitted in 2021, more agencies, parastatals, and commissions have been established, as you well know. Do you foresee any challenges in implementing this report?
Let's first look at those agencies that are being established. First and foremost, most of them are stand-alone agencies. But let's also look at the one that they should be scrapped, they should be merged. Some of them are different from some of these agencies that have been established recently. And again, if you look at the report, there are about 929 government agencies identified. Then 50 were meant to be scrapped. To be merged. 36 were meant to be scrapped, and they are meant to turn into department or thereabout. Now, these new ones that you are talking about, some of them there have been a tinker around them before they were established. New agencies are not found in the report. But old ones that have been existing before now, that are those ones that have been found to be expected to be merged or to be scrapped. But going forward, in terms of the revenue, in terms of the budgeting that you're talking about, I think we already have a budgeting system that captures how government money is being released, and how government is the transparency nature in terms of how those money will be accounted for. For instance, when the government said through the report now that Nasani, Proda, one of the agencies under science and tech should be merged together. Now, each of them have their budget. By the time they are merged together, that doesn't stop them from still terms of what they have been asked to do with the money. So, for me, budgeting will not be a challenge. But what we should be looking at is that the transparency nature of those budgets should be put in place so that we will not be having same story that money were released, but projects were not carried.
So recall that former President Goodluck Jonathan and Muhammadu Buhari had failed at implementing or had little success at implementing the recommendations of the Oransaye report, but you know, it had never happened. Does this have to do with our history as a nation? I mean, does it support such implementation?
I think we must understand where we are coming from, which talk about where we are going at this present time. See, the core reason why Oransaye report was accepted, was even commissioned to go ahead and look at those government agencies, was because of the wastages in public fund. And we must understand that without wastage in public fund, far back in our history, how government agencies must operate and how much they must be consuming at the end of the day. But in line with what is happening right now, I can say that the Buhari government that didn't fulfill the promise of implementing it, or neither Jonathan that didn't fulfill the promise of implementing it, it was as a result of the political economy of the Nigerian state, because of what majority of political parties, members benefit from some of these agencies in terms of contract, in terms of recruitment, and in terms of what comes around in terms of board member appointment and rest of them. But right now, the call for the reduction in cost of governance has come to the forefront that at this point, the current government led by to listen to what Nigerians have been saying, because the frivolously and the shenanigans around government wastages or public fund has come to the front that we cannot continue the way we were during the Buhari government or Jonathan government. And that's why it is expected that we must implement the Oransaye report in terms of cutting governance, cutting cost of governance in this regard of merging of government agencies and the rest of them.
Since the announcement, some citizens have also expressed fear that those who work in the parastatals and agencies that will be merged will lose their jobs. Although the government has said that that won't be the case, but do you think that this will happen? Do you also nurse this fear?
If you recall back when this particular Oransaye report was laid down before the Jonathan government in early 2014 or thereabout, majority Labour, NLC, TUC station, and some political elite also kick against it. But the reality have dawned on everyone that in the immediate terms, when the policy will be implemented in the next 1, 2, 3 years, nobody will lose their job. But going forward, there may be a limitation in terms of recruiting and over-recruiting. I hope you are getting me. So the major challenges are most government agencies have been beyond their budgetary allocation per year. And they also recruit beyond the manpower, distribution in terms of duties, in terms of responsibility they're supposed to carry out. But and again, don't forget that this policy is going to be backed up with legal framework by National Assembly that will also dictate on how recruitment and engagement of Nigerians will be going forward in those agencies. So for me, now, but in the future of those organizations that will be merged, there could be a challenge whereby there will be limitation in terms of employment in those agencies, because the core objective of this Oransaye report is that we must cut down in employ people into places that are not needed. And that is the reason why we must try as much as possible to ensure that this Oransaye report is implemented under this current government. Because if we leave it and we do not that, okay, events are overtaking the report implementation, but this is the time that we must implement it, because the cry of Nigerians that we're having so much people in National Assembly, we're having so much people in government agencies, this is the time to start with. And as I earlier said, this particular Oransaye report on agencies is a starting point. Then we can go to National Assembly and say what we can do about National Assembly and the numbers of people in National Assembly. And you can also recall that there's a bill talking about parliamentary system in Nigeria. That could be a good one if this Oransaye report is also implemented.
Oh, now, do you believe that implementing the report will indeed reduce the cost of governance in Nigeria, which has been a public debate among citizens?
I will say it as an economics. It will do in a sense that the call down cost of governance. Not only that, the objective is to bring two things into fruition. One is efficiency, the other one is effectiveness. Now, if you put these two together, it will go a long way to ensure that we have, value for money being spent on governance. And also transparency and accountability will also be recalled and also be engendered with this kind of policy implementation if it is eventually implemented by the Tinubu government.
Well, let's see how things will turn out in the days to come. Public Affairs Analyst Adefolari Olamileko, thank you very much for talking to me. Well, that's all how much we can take on this episode of the program. Thank you for watching. See you next time.